Hey guys, it's Liv here. In today's video, I wanted to go over the current Series 2 tournament results that have been happening on the side, and I wanted to see if we can notice any trends in what Pokemon ended up being really good and what might be the best Paradox Pokemon to look out for. If you enjoy this type of content and you want to see more tournament breakdowns, leave a like and subscribe. I wanted to at least do the first week of tournaments, and I might just do like the post preview month of tournaments, but if you guys want to see these on a more frequent basis, let me know. I think at most I just do them like once a week though, but figured we have like 4 different tournaments right now that I'm going to go over. All of these tournaments, basically the basis that I used to decide which ones I'm going to cover, I looked for anything that was definitively flagged as a Season 2 tournament on Limitless. Limitless is a site that a lot of different VGC tours online get hosted on, such as the 4 that I'm going over today. They also have open team sheet, which is pretty good because I can obviously look through all of the teams and just try and see if there's like common trends and sets. So it's a lot easier to look over for this data set. But the second important metric was I looked for anything that had at least 64 people. I figured with at least 64 people signing up, it's not just going to be like a group of friends, because there are a lot of tournaments actually. If we go over here, there are a lot of tournaments that have like 8 people or like single-digit people. Albeit it's not as bad with the ones at the top, but you could see, well, you actually can't see because they're covered towards the bottom, but we have a tournament in 19, 28, 8, 8, 31, 33, like these are all pretty small. Most of them are pretty small. And if I went over all of these as well, it would take too long. So we're going to go over the 4 that ended up breaking 64 competitors. And I'm going to go over them in the order from the bottom of that list to the top because it's in order of recency. So we're starting off with the first Series 2 tournament that had a sizable entry with the Beanie Brawl Rumble, which, if you guys don't know, basically Beanie Brawl is a tournament that is hosted consistently by that one guy in a beanie. He hosts, or they host tournaments in general just pretty constantly, I would say. I'm pretty sure it's like literally every Wednesday this tournament gets hosted. For right now, it's been Series 2 tournaments, mostly, of course. That way, then people can get practice for the format before any sort of IRL events happen, and it's been pretty cool. And I actually did the last one they did on New Year's, which was a Series 1 tournament, and I'm going to be doing the one on stream for Series 2 that is going to be this Wednesday. So I guess, you know, if you want a chance to play me, sign up there. But regardless, though, yeah, honestly, there's a lot of different competitors here, even names that I recognize, and I'm not too connected in the space, but it seems like the team that did the best consists of Arcanine, Roaring Moon, Iron Bundle, Amoonguss, Iron Hands, and Furgraf. And if we look through, you'll actually notice that there's a handful of different bundles that ended up doing really well. We have a bundle in first place, we have a bundle in third place, we have a bundle in 7th place, we have a bundle in 11th, 12th, and also 16th place, and 14th, 15th, and 16th. So of all the Paradox Mons, it seems like Iron Bundle actually had the best showing, which I will say a lot of different people, myself included, really thought Roaring Moon would be the best one, and we still see some good Roaring Moons, of course, showing out. For example, the first place team obviously has a Roaring Moon. Second place team is just outright has no Paradox Pokemon. And then as we go through the list, you can see a wide variety in Paradoxes. Like we see that Jugulus ended up actually making a top 4 appearance, as well as any Shocks. And I'm going to be completely honest, I did not think that the first tournament of the season was going to have either Mon even in the top 8, but what do you know? The 5th place team has, yet again, no Paradox. 6th team has no Paradox. 7th team has Fluttermane, which is the first Fluttermane team in top 8. I'm not going to lie, again, I really thought there'd be more of these. Then we get into Roaring Moon and Iron Hands bundle. Yet again, we get into no Paradox. We have no, actually no, that's a Brute Bonnet. Again, really thought there would be more of these, but it is what it is. Once the Brute Bonnet team passes, we see Bundle Fluttermane, which Bundle Fluttermane Rain. I'm kind of shocked we didn't see another one of these, considering there were very few teams that had Bundle but had Rain, and I kind of thought it'd be a more common core, at least compared to how many bundles that we did see top cut. But then we go into Bundle Iron Moth, actually, with Brute Bonnet. We see Iron Hands Bundle Fluttermane. We see no Paradox. We see Bundle Fluttermane yet again on Rain. And then we see Bundle Iron Hands Fluttermane, and then 16th team had Bundle, and then Roaring Moon and Iron Hands. So Bundle definitely ended up stealing a show in Tournament 1. I think it's proved to be a lot better of a presence than people thought, which, for good reasons to be fair. Bundle's quite literally the second fastest natural Pokemon of the format. The very fastest being, of course, Dragapult, at least in terms of viable Pokemon, I should say. There might be something slower, but I'm not going to lie, I don't even know. I'm purely thinking if there's any Pokemon like maybe Ninjask, for example, that would be legal, and I don't even think there are. There's Electrode, right? Electrode and then Barraskewda technically ties with Bundle. But as far as, well, actually Barraskewda is like almost viable. But even still, Bundle's still one of the fastest Pokemon. It still hits the top 5, even if we're talking about unviable mons. And on top of that as well, it has Icy Wind for speed control, which is incredibly valuable when trying to slow down a lot of these Paradox Pokemon and make them more manageable for teams. We could see, even if we break through a lot of these comps, for example, if we go to the first team here, Bokusash Bundle with Icy Wind, Freeze Dry, Hydro Pump, and Protect. And then Roaring Moon obviously ends up being Tailwind. In tandem, this ended up being a pretty good speed control core. You still have Trick Room with Ferrograph, and it has Imprisoned to get around other Trick Room comps that might be more dedicated into the Trick Room spot. Overall, really strong team here. I'm not going to go over every team in the top 16. I just wanted to go over, we'll go over a couple other bundle teams, of course. Again, this one has the Booster Energy bundle, but it's still the same sort of set. And this has really been the trend for a lot of these comps. They're either Booster Energy or they're Focus Sash. This team also features a Banded Terra Poison Roaring Moon. I'm not going to lie, it's kind of interesting. I didn't think Poison would be a type that's right on the spawn, but it's a cool idea. It's a cool idea for sure. Helps a lot with Sylveon matchups, and it's not Fire Weak, which is pretty decent. We have, let's see, if we click on another bundle team here, of course, yet again, this one has, yet again, Booster Energy with Icy Wind, Freeze Dry, Hydro Pump, Protect. Seems like this is pretty much the standard set on Bundle. But Bundle definitely ended up stealing a show here. A lot of teams also just didn't need Paradox Mons, which I know was a decent concern among the community about Paradox Mons being over-centralizing. I thought that at least pretty much every team would cover like 1 or 2. In fact, quite literally, when I was prepping for Orlando with the first set of teams, Randy and I literally asked each other, okay, what Paradox Pokemon are we building around? Because we just thought it would be mandatory. So it's definitely pretty cool to see that a lot of these teams ended up not really needing a Paradox Mon, and it's definitely reshaped my thoughts a lot about going into Series 2, what will or won't be viable. Up next, though, we do have the Nino Bros Scarlet and Violet tournament. This ended up having, I want to say, how many people? 396. That was a lot of different people that signed up. And as far as the top 16 teams go, the first team, of course, has Bundle Iron Hands. We see a lot more Iron Hands in this tournament. The first 2 teams both have it. If we get into the 5th place team that has it, 7th place has it, 9th place has it, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, all have Iron Hands. So Iron Hands definitely ended up being the standout mon of this tournament for sure. This is actually the first tournament that we see Great Tusk making an appearance, and that's another mon I really thought would do pretty well, so it's genuinely surprising to not see it here. Well, to only see it at 8th, I should say. But Great Tusk is a pretty decent one. But I can definitely get why, when Iron Hands is just a lot better of a Trick Room option, though Tusk is a decent middle ground for Trick Room Tailwind, so still kind of shocked to not see it more. We're going to still see some bundles, but it's a lot less Iron bundles. Like we see it in 1st place, for example. And then the next Iron bundle team that ends up actually going is all the way in 8th place with the Great Tusk team. And then if we keep going down and we keep going down and we keep going down, 14th place has one. And then 16th place has one. And so it's a lot less Iron bundle for sure. Definitely pretty surprising, I can't lie. I really thought Iron bundle would be doing well. Something else that ended up making an appearance is actually in 15th place, we have Moxie Boosted making Slitherwing work. Honestly, pretty insane to think that Slitherwing on Vrain made it work, but you know what? It's a pretty cool team in general. I actually saw a couple of Moxie's games live when he was streaming his tournament run, but honestly, really fucking interesting Slitherwing team to say the least. But this series especially has shown that pretty much within these first 3 tournaments that nearly every Paradox Pokemon has been covered. If we just go off of these 2 alone, I'm actually going to keep a notepad so I can make sure I'm not repeating entries. We have Roaring Moon, Iron Bundle, Iron Hands, Sandy Shocks, Iron Jugulus, and this is just in the top 4. We have already 5 different Paradox Mons. If we keep going, of course, we do see Flutter Mane. We can keep going further. We see Iron Moth. And then from there, we're going to see a lot more repeats, Brute Bonnet. And this is all just in Tournament 1, of course, which had even less entrants than Tournament 2 did. And I think that's it for Tournament 1 Paradox Mons. I want to say that's everything. Literally right out of top 16, we see Iron Tread, so unfortunately it just misses it. But if we go into Nino Bros, of course, we see a lot of the repeats, of course, especially Iron Hands, huge repeat offender here. But if we keep going and we keep going down, we can keep going. Oh my god, a lot of these are repeats. Right, Great Tusk was the first new one at 8th. It's a Great Tusk. We can keep going, of course, and we'll keep scrolling through. And where's the next one? I know we have Slitherwing to mention. I'm just making sure there's something before Slitherwing that needs to get mentioned. Slitherwing actually is the next one. Okay, so among the entire pool of paradoxes, and I might have missed something. As I said, like I know with treads, for example, I just missed out of top 16, so it's not getting mentioned. But among the top 16, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the 14 paradoxes not shown. The only ones that are not shown in the top 16 are iron treads. I need to pull this up on the side because honestly, I don't even know. Iron thorns. Iron Valiant, which I know Iron Valiant gets a showcase later on. And then there's definitely one past Paradox Mon as well. Let's see. So what would be the past Paradox Pokemon shown? Because honestly, I can't. Oh, Screamtail. Kind of shocked that Screamtail didn't make a top cut. I can't lie. I really thought that Mon would also be doing pretty decent in this format. But it's definitely interesting, though, to say the least. If we look through a lot of the Iron Hands teams, though, these have been a lot more fluid. We're seeing Assault Vest, of course, with Fake Out, Drain Punch, Wild Charge, Volt Switch. The moves specifically are a little bit here and there, but a lot of them are running Assault Vest at the very least. The Terra type also changes, of course. Like, the first one was Grass, and the second one was Fighting. Just depends, of course, on what the team needs. But Iron Hands, again, being the repeat offender, seems like Fighting is a pretty common one, with just different coverage, like that one had Ice Punch. This one has Close Combat, Fake Out, Wild Charge, Drain Punch. This one has another Assault Vest set with Terra Blast, Ground. So unlike with Bundle, a lot of these are more dependent on Assault Vest, but they have a lot more fluid moveset. Whereas the bundles had a couple different items, and they were running literally the exact same 4 moves. I'm yet to actually see a Booster Energy set, which is kind of interesting. I really thought Booster Energy would have a showing here in the top 16. But we're going through, obviously, and there's still no Booster Energy Iron Hands. Really thought that would be a decent option, but literally every single Iron Hands in top 16 had Assault Vest. That's not just nearly everything, every single one in an Assault Vest. So, honestly, pretty interesting to say the least. Great Tusk, I'm kind of curious what the Great Tusk was running, because we checked out the Slitherwing, of course. The Great Tusk, yep, this is a Boost Energy one. It's probably what the Boost Energy fighting type that people are leaning into is. We can see this one is Life Orb, so again, these are running more offensive roles. Overall, though, definitely pretty interesting to see. I want to look over the first place team as well a bit more, because I kind of just skimmed over the Iron Hands, but this has, again, yep, the Focus Sash bundle and the standard Amoonguss. So I think what a lot of different people were saying was that these teams were leaning into more Series 1 teams, and it truly does look like it, because this could have easily just been a Hariyama here, for example, and it's still done pretty decent in all honesty, albeit the one issue this would have was maybe having a little less momentum, but it would have still been fine. I'm kind of curious why this team didn't have Trick Room, but they probably banked on other people having it for what it's worth. So I can get that. In terms of this Iron Hands team, though, this looks pretty similar to the Backs team that just won. It looks like a slightly modified version of that team. Obviously, I mean, I say that because of like Terra Poison Garg and Focus Sash Masquerada with Gold Tango and Mimikyu, with Mimikyu, of course, being the same set. And then it seems like they shifted out Tauros for Arcanine, and then Baxcalibur as a breaker for Iron Hands, which should, at the very least, help give the Trick Room aspect a lot more of weight. So Joe UX9, I know Joe's a pretty decent VGC YouTuber, really strong in the community. Yeah, overall, though, looks like we get a lot more team diversity yet again. Top 4 still seems to be proving well. Flutterman made its first top 4 appearance here. So overall, Nino Bros, of course, is playing into the continuing of the meta trends being Series 1 teams with slight reskins. Even like this Murkrow Brillium team, for example, I recognize a lot of these mons from a rain comp. And then we see Bundle and Great Tusk on here instead. But overall, I mean, again, a lot of different teams moving on. So let's get into the third tournament, which was the Durans TV VGC Meta Weekly. I think this had 71 people, if I remember correctly. Yep, 71 participants. As far as the top 16 goes, we see Dendozo Giri actually making the first slot, and this is Bundle and Roaring Moon over literally any sort of slot in. I've seen this comp work with stuff like, for example, Cold Pull, for example, but there's a lot you could really run in that slot. And yeah, overall, really terrifying comp at the very least. The Bundle, of course, yet again, having some good speed control. Literally the same exact moveset from before. This is their first appearance of Iron Valiant in the top 16. So we can, of course, take this mon off now. Scarlet also made a top 2 appearance, which is kind of interesting. I know a lot of people are saying this mon is going to fall off, and this one proves to be Terra Dark, most likely for Psy Spam, because Armorage in general, 1, it's been picking up a lot, but 2, it would do a lot of damage to this team. At least with one of its stabs, it really handles everything else in the team. So having Scarlet just a nice immunity to both is really valuable. We see another Iron Hands team, Iron Hands Flutterman, of course, being really valuable. Great Trick Room option in general with the Iron Hands plus Garganacl plus Amoonguss. Mungus, while Fluttermane is still really good at being offensive. One thing I've noticed looking through a lot of these comps, though, is a lot of these teams have a lot of Trigger Mouse specs, but they're not running Trigger, which is definitely interesting to say the least. We can keep going through. We'll see stuff like Torkoal. If I remember correctly, I think this is the first Torkoal that actually made a top 16. Going through. So there's no top 16 Torkoal in the Beanie Brawl. And if we look through the Torkoal comps, we see Pincurchin actually make a top 16 appearance before Torkoal. Yeah, no Torkoal in the top 16 for either of these tournaments, but Torkoal ended up actually making a top 16, actually made a top 8 appearance with his Fluttermane King Gambit team, which is pretty interesting to say the least. I didn't think that Pincurchin would be making more top 16s than Torkoal would, but here we are. In terms of other new Paradox Mons, we see our first Iron Thorns as well, which is pretty interesting. This team consists of Iron Thorns, Iron Hands, Hatterene, the Pincurchin, Farigiraf, and Great Tusk. So pretty interesting comp here. The Iron Thorns, of course, is running Choice Band. That's pretty interesting. I didn't think that Choice Band would be valuable, but honestly, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it gets a really strong damage output this way. Are there any Screamtails or Iron Treads that made the top 16? I'm definitely interested to see if either of them made this. For what it's worth, I know as well, I will say this statistic is a little bit weighed differently, considering the fact that top 16 for this has a lot, it's a lot greater of a percentage of the pool, but even still, like, for example, this Iron Valiant team made second, so it only matters so much. And even still, the team that had the, I already lost them on. All right, Iron Thorns, it still got 10th overall, so it's still pretty interesting. We're still seeing a lot of Iron Hands, so this comp didn't change a lot from the Nino Bros tournament, but overall, I mean, a lot of these teams seem pretty similar. We just kind of shocked we saw our first Torkoal appearance in the third tournament of the generation for Series 2. And even still, it's proving to be a defensive one with Overheat, Clear Smog, Yawn, and Protect. So Eruption Torkoal isn't even actually performing. The first Eruption Torkoal that I'm seeing is the 17th place team in this tournament, which says a lot. And it happens to be a Lilycole team as well, which again makes a lot of sense there. But we do have one more tournament to go over, which is the Poke Melee Mondays. Now, Poke Melee Mondays had an 80% show out. The top team had Sandy Shocks, which honestly, never thought I would say that this early in the gen. But this proves to be a Terra Ice set, which actually Terra Ice is probably like the best set you could probably be running on that mon, just looking at other showings. It's great for a lot of the dragons that are showing up, stuff like Roaring Moon, D-Knight, High Dragon, Jugulus, etc. I know Jugulus isn't a dragon, but it's still just a nice middle ground option to hit into that slot. And plus, I mean, let's be honest, it looks like a dragon. But even still, just for all the other dragons rolling around, Terra Blast is great for this. It's also great for a middle ground between Roaring Moon for Terra Flying, which is the most common set right now. We can obviously see Boost Energy with Acro, Throw, Chop, Tailwind, Protect. In my opinion, this is the best set. You could obviously make a case for throwing Tantrum on here. Personally, I think Act 4 is the best set you could run. But yeah, we have a lot of options here. Focus Sash Delibird on a bundle, again, proving to be the best moveset on that mon. Glamora making a second place. This is definitely interesting. Didn't think Glamora would still have a showing, and this one actually proves to be a choice Scarf set with Terra Flying. Also, honestly, pretty interesting. Didn't think Bundle would be showing up like that. If we keep going through, we can continue to see a lot of the usual offenders like Bundle, Iron Hands, Fluttermane. We see another Torkoal make a top cut, which is interesting. Do we see any Pincurchins make top cut? It does not look like we do. So we actually have more Torkoals now because we have a second Torkoal at the 15th place team which weirdly enough is Torkoal and Lycanroc Sand. Didn't expect to see a Sand Torkoal comp, but here we are. If we keep going through though, do we have any new Paradox Mons, specifically Screamtail or Iron Treads, making the top 16? And it does not look like we do, which is definitely weird because we actually see a Goth comp, and I really thought that Goth Screamtail would be a decent call. But here we are. Seems like Iron Treads and Screamtail are, at least consensually so far, the consensus is these Mons just aren't really doing that well, which is a little unfortunate because I genuinely thought that both Mons could be interesting picks. But overall though, this ends up being our first set of tournaments for Scarlet and Violet. Let me know what you guys think. Were there any things that surprised you guys going to these tournaments? If there were, let me know down below. What Pokemon are you excited to use most in Series 2? Let me know as well. And with that said, if you enjoyed, like and subscribe for more content. We're going to be live tomorrow on our YouTube channel at 7 o'clock with the Beanie Brawl Wednesdays tournament run, where I'm going to be using a pretty interesting team. And also with that said, shoutouts to channel members, of course, being Josh AK Ultra Player, Mia, Zeke Zero, Matt O'Shea, Nox Nocturnal, and Koemi. Your guys' support on the channel is greatly appreciated. And if you want to go the extra mile and support, just a couple dollars a month, and it goes a lot towards just general content related things. So I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Until then, peace out, guys.